Welcome to the Christian Author Show. From fiction to enlightenment, we offer you all forms of faith-inspired books. So sit back and relax. Here's your host, Danielle Hampson.
Marriage is a long-term commitment, and it is something we need to work on each day. But do we? Welcome to the Christian Author Show. I'm Danielle Hampson. South African author Ess-Jee Rautenbach began working with troubled marriages in 2009 after his own marriage hit troubled waters. Since then, covenant marriage restoration has become his passion, and he has seen marriage after marriage after marriage restored and renewed through the simple principles outlined in the oldest book known to mankind, the Bible. Now you can also find the beginnings of new hope for troubled marriages in his book, How to Stand for Your Marriage, Giving Hope to a Broken Generation. Welcome to the show, Ess-Jee.
Thank you, Danielle.
Ess-Jee, most authors have one very specific reason for writing a particular book. What was your reason for writing How to Stand for Your Marriage?
Well, Danielle, when my marriage went into troubled waters, I couldn't find the answers I was looking for. I went to pastors, counselors, family, and friends, and no one could give me the answers I was looking for. So I really had in my heart, to write a book to show people that there are hope and there are answers. I actually wanted to write a book to give people insights in the hard questions, and also when they went into the fire in their marriage, that they could know what to do when the fire comes in their marriage.
Your book title is How to Stand for Your Marriage, the subtitle being Giving Hope to a Broken Generation. What is the significance of your book title, especially of the choice of it?
Basically, I want to let people know that it is a guide and to show people that we are living in a broken generation, and I wanted to show people some light, to show them that there is hope and there can be a illness and brokenness. So I wanted to let the people see that it's a comprehensive guide for people to learn how to stand for their marriages.
Now, Ess-Jee, in your opinion, why are divorce statistics increasing really worldwide?
Now, I think there's many reasons for that happening. I'm just going to start on some of the main points I think is the main reasons for that happening at the moment. There's a greater social acceptance of divorces and divorcees. The sanctity of marriage is taking a beating.
Right.
People's attitude towards marriage are changing dramatically. For example, I think most people don't respect the vows anymore. They don't take the vows seriously anymore.
Right.
The stress of a modern life. Other frustration also is, I think, the sexual frustration of the marriage. And also, I think the change of gender roles. Husbands and wives don't know what their roles are anymore. And I think most of us don't have a clue. When it comes to marriage, we try our best to do what we know what to do, but sometimes it's not the truth. So I think we lost the plot somewhere that we're not really following God's design for marriage. And I think also that misunderstanding what love is really all about, and also lack of commitment.
Well, I think the lack of commitment, I would say it's probably on top of the list. Would you agree there, or did you find statistics that say something different?
No, for sure. I think we live in a culture where it's more or less, if you got to get something that makes you happy. So if you have someone who doesn't make you happy anymore, you just cut your losses and you go on.
Right.
And that's actually sad, because, it's like if you hurt your hand, you just cut off your hand, and, we don't leave enough time for the hand to heal. I think that is number one for sure, yes.
Yeah, I think it also gives a new meaning to disposable society.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Now, what does it actually mean to stand for your marriage?
In other simple terms, basically you're standing for the healing for your marriage. You're decided that you're not going to conform to the world's ways and solutions dealing with marriage problems. So you're putting trust in God, and you're trusting Him to restore your marriage. I think also it's basically you're learning how to love God on a deeper level, and also let the Lord show you how to love your wife or husband unconditionally. I think that is, in our society nowadays, unconditional love looks like a myth. So it's basically bringing back, what God wants us, or what He showed us basically what to do.
Now, how did you learn of standing?
When I came to the end of all my plans. I think most of us always, we get to a place where you get into troubled waters, we make all our plans, and you try to figure stuff out on your own, and we're saying we're trusting God, but you're not really trusting God, for that breakthrough. So I came to a point at the end of all my plans. I didn't know what to do. I can still remember there was one late night, and I fell on my knees, and I asked God, there must be something I could do. No one else could help, no one else could give me the profound answer. I just got this thing come into my heart like restoration, and I just knew this was from God. And from there, the Lord really showed me to stand, and I really didn't know what standing was all about. And after I got the revelation of the restoration, the stand word came coming up in my heart. And after a while, I think it took like a few years for me just to understand what standing is all about. And it's basically, the closer you go to God, the more the Lord led me, and He gave me insights of His heart and His love for us, and that He wants that for us also. And I think that is what happened. I think that the Lord really gave me insight, and He guided me through my storms, and that's where, He learned me how to stand for the healing of one's marriage with Him, basically.
Right. Now, some people talk about a marriage as being a marriage contract, let's say, and others talk about a marriage covenant. What's the difference between those two?
I think most times, especially the days we're living now, I think people don't know exactly what a contract and a covenant is. They mix both, or they talk about one or the other. And basically, a contract is where two parties sign legal papers, and they agree that certain terms and conditions will be met. Like any contract, if the terms and conditions are not met, then the contract is broken, and it's not valid anymore. So then people have the grounds to divorce. A covenant, on the other hand, is when two people are not already bound by a covenant. They take a vow before God and witnesses. So basically, a covenant is between a man, woman, and God, and a covenant is actually valid until death separates them.
Are all marriages covenants regardless of religion?
That is a very difficult question, because so many people are saying different things. I heard from different pastors, different denominations. Everybody is talking something else, and they're saying something else. But in my view, I see that if you read from Genesis to Revelation, you will get the feeling that God is a really covenant God. And we are the covenant makers, and He's a covenant keeper, basically witness and bound by Him. So God is a covenant keeper, and we are, and sometimes He's enforcer as well. So my answer will be yes. I think that when a man and woman choose God's system of marriage, and simply outlined in Genesis 2:24, regardless of a religion or culture, then this is a marriage, and the covenant is valid before God.
Right. Now, where can one start to stand for your marriage?
And they can start by buying this book. No, just joking. But the book could be a great tool for somebody who wants to start to stand for a marriage. But secondly, I would say that forgiveness is a good starting point. I think that if you can start to forgive your husband or wife for something they did or did not do to you, that is a really good starting point. And most marriages, if you start to forgive your one who hurted you, that's a very good starting point for you to start from.
But sometimes situations can be very, very bad for either one or both of the partners. So if a marriage is actually so hopeless that one of the partners feels totally compelled to get a divorce, why should the other one choose to stand instead?
I think that is a very valid question as well. I think, especially talking to believers in Christ also, that if we can just allow God to invade our hearts and soften our hearts with our spouses, then we can see how He sees us. And I think we can't do that on our own. I think that we need Jesus to really show us how to see our husbands and wives who wronged us in His unconditional love. And I think the more we're going to go closer to God, the more we're going to see the positives of our loved ones. Even if they are so unlovable, we're going to see there's some potential in the heart. So I've asked this question to myself also: how can we, as a Church of Christ, can show people out there what Christ's love is, unconditional love? We can't even show that in our own marriages, and that's basically what God wanted from us. And I think that's very difficult in the society we live today, because it's just about you, and it's about what you need and your happiness and stuff like that. If you start to talk about this, then people think you're mad. So I really think it comes back that it is just show what Christ's love is for His church, basically.
Ess-Jee, how many marriages have you seen restored by way of the principles that you outline in your book?
I've personally witnessed many marriages where couples were really, was hopeless, and I've seen how God really did a miracle. I've seen it they've been reconciled, how God restored, and even dead, when a marriage was dead, how God just really put back love in that marriage, even after divorce. And it is so awesome. I mean, I've just got this feeling again every time I think of it, that God is really not a respecter of persons. So what He's done for these couples, He can do for everybody who allows Him, to lead them into this.
Now, I am personally a huge believer in the power of prayers. Is prayer important in marriage, in your opinion?
Yes, absolutely. Prayer is certainly a key factor in any marriage. They want the marriage to be restored. I always say, the closer a couple gets to God in their prayer room, the closer they're going to get to each other. So the couple who prays together basically stays together. So prayer must be a part of your life. I think in our busy life today, nowadays, everybody is so busy. I think we leave that at the end of our day, or we leave it for last. Actually, it's got to be first. The more we're going to pray for each other and to God, the more we're going to see that love blooming in our hearts for each other.
Well, at the end of the day, if you analyze what a marriage is, which is in addition to be, of course, a covenant with God as well, it's also a partnership. If both partners put the other one first at all time, everybody gets satisfied.
Exactly, and I think God also designed it that way.
Right.
We're going to put, the other one first before our own stuff we want to be done, then it's going to be so much greater, and I think that's where we miss it. Most of us just go into marriage thinking that our needs must be met.
Right.
And that's actually sad. If you could just see, that God actually made that He wants you to grow closer to your partner by seeking his or hers, stuff what they want to do first, and that is, I think, sometimes we just lost a bit of focus in our marriages.
Well, you wrote your book in the Christian genre, but quite honestly, I see this just as good for the more secular arena as well. So is there anything in your book that would make it also appealing to a more general audience?
Yes, I think that every human being on this earth wants a happy, fulfilling marriage.
Right.
So I really think it is appealing. If you're going to choose to do this, I really can guarantee that the Lord's going to do great stuff in your life, and I think that this book can really embark you on a journey to finding that fulfilling and that happiness in your marriage, guiding you in a way you can go if you choose to do so. So, yes, for sure, I think really that anyone can read the book, and I think really they're going to get something good out of it.
Now, you have a first and a second editions, correct?
Yes.
What's the difference between the two?
The first and the major difference between the two is basically that the Lord really made a God connection. The second edition includes input of an award-winning American author, Bev Durkee. She also wrote some great titles like The Disposable Noble Wife and Navigating Marital Abandonment, and many more inspiring titles. So that just completes the House to Stand for Your Marriage, basically. So it just makes it much more insightful. This commentary of Bev.
And Ess-Jee, what is the absolute biggest benefit that the readers will actually take away when they read your book?
It's basically one liner. I think that the book will give any reader hope for their marriage. We live in a society, and we go out the door and you just see hopelessness, and you see hopelessness everywhere. Basically on the TV, everywhere you go, you just see hopelessness. And I've seen that people don't have hope for their marriage anymore. So they will definitely have hope for their marriage after they read the book. What
specific thing would you like to say to your readers now?
I would say never give up on your marriage. Even if your marriage seems hopeless and dead, we are always open for your marriage. God can do a miracle, and I've seen my own eyes. He breathed back life into any dead marriage. So God can heal your marriage if you're given a chance. So I really want my readers to know that there's always hope, no matter what.
Do you plan to write any other books?
For sure. You really know God did put this thing in my heart to really write like a stand book series, where basically covers most of the stuff, we don't hear in our churches anymore, or people are too afraid to talk about. So I think, yes, people can watch this space. There's definitely going to be more of this.
Okay, wonderful. Well, in what format is your current book available, and where can people purchase it?
At the moment, it's available from Amazon.com. It is available in paperback and variety of Kindle formats, and also working to get it in more bookstores and also more online stores as well. And my readers can also, listeners can also see, for more information about me and my ministry, they can also visit my website at www.standforyourmarriage.org, and we also can get some more information about everything, about the marriages and divorce and all that stuff.
Can you give us that website again one more time, please?
www.standforyourmarriage.org.
Okay, wonderful. Ess-Jee, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the program. I agree with you that we need to work harder at our marriages. Whenever there's a will, there's always a way. So I do believe that things can invent, even in the worst circumstances, that they can be salvaged. So thank you for writing your book, How to Stand for Your Marriage. Thank you very much, Ess-Jee.
Okay, great pleasure, Danielle.
Do you have marital problems? Has your spouse left you? Where do you turn? Who will help you? What do you do? In many marriages, things just seem hopeless with nowhere to run for help. How to Stand for Your Marriage offers you hope for you and your marriage. So go out there and get the book. The title one last time is How to Stand for Your Marriage, Giving Hope to a Broken Generation by author Ess-Jee Rautenbach. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with today's show, and to discover more Christian and other authors and their books, I invite you to visit theauthorsbookclub.com. Check that website, as many of our show guests and their books are featured right there. And if you are an author yourself, this is a good place for you to list your own book and show it to the world. That website again is theauthorsbookclub.com. Thank you for listening, and please join me next time with another great Christian author and book on the Christian Author Show. I'm Danielle Hampson, and may God continue to keep you safe and hear your prayers.
Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for another great book on the Christian Author Show. To find out more about the show, visit thechristianauthorsshow.com.